Mode.
Hi everyone, thank you for joining us. My name is Kathy Little. I'm the Client Relations Manager here at Product Space. We're happy to present to you our Quickbytes topic today, which is custom Sharepoint integration with Windchill, where you can learn how to integrate Windchill and Microsoft SharePoint for your document sharing, which I'm sure will be a benefit to you in your environment. Also, we would like to hear about your experience interfacing Windchill and Microsoft SharePoint in your PLM environment. If you want, you can send us a note at my email address, which is on your invite, and we would be thrilled to hear from you. We'd like to get to know you a little bit better, so if you could just take a minute to drop us a note, we would gladly appreciate that. At this time, there should be a poll on your screen, and we will give you a moment to answer, and we certainly appreciate your response. As always, phones will be muted during the presentation, but you can post your questions in the chat room and we will answer them during the Q&A session. We will now begin our presentation with Roshan Hegde.
Thank you, Kathy. Good afternoon to everyone. I am Roshan Hegde and I work as a solutions architect with Product Space. Today we are going to discuss Windchill integration framework and how to design a custom integration. I will explain it with a specific example of custom SharePoint integration. Today in this session we will cover following topics: introduction, integration framework, interface specification, interface design, design of a custom SharePoint integration, some case studies, and finally we will go through the questions. To start with the problem area, Windchill PDM Link is a powerful PLM application and it works efficiently for engineering department, especially for heavy users that work with top-end CAD applications. Windchill provides out-of-the-box integration with downstream applications such as SAP and Oracle ERP. However, when information needs to be shared with other applications such as manufacturing applications, supply chain applications, it is technically complex to implement system integration. Let us try to understand some use case scenarios where one needs to design a custom integration. One such scenario is if you need a lightweight real-time integration with customer portals such as SharePoint. Another scenario is if you need to integrate Windchill with legacy applications such as lab request system. One more scenario is if you need to integrate Windchill with ERP application that is not currently supported by PTC. All above use case scenarios require you to design a custom integration framework. We follow below given framework for integrating enterprise systems. There are 4 high-level phases and they are assessment and planning, system setup, implementation, deployment and support. In the assessment and planning phase, interface specification is finalized. Different implementation options are weighed. Proof of concept is developed to ensure that the system can be integrated. Finally, a project plan is prepared. In the system setup phase, middleware system and other systems are set up. Infrastructure is designed for scalability, performance, and maximum security. In the implementation phase, integration is designed. Integration is developed, deployed, and validated. In the deployment and support phase, integration is enhanced to cover new requirements and to enhance other requirements and to handle exceptions. PLM applications typically require integration with ERP systems, manufacturing applications, supply chain applications, marketing portals, and other legacy applications. PTC provides ESI module and ERP connectors for implementing out-of-the-box integration. On the other side, A custom interface can be developed using technologies such as Java RMI, web services, info engine, etc. One of the important steps in designing integration is to finalize the specification. In this step, source and target systems are identified, different implementation options are weighed, and interface technology is evaluated. The data is analyzed, data models are mapped between the systems, integration is analyzed for real-time transaction versus batch mode transaction, frequency of data transfer, volume of data transfer, direction of the data flow, closed loop transaction versus open loop transaction, triggering point, etc. One needs to consider following design criteria when implementing a custom integration. Does PTC provide out-of-the-box integration? Does it handle all the requirements, or does it require enhancement? Does it require development of a custom integration? What kind of interface points can be considered? Does it have a complex processing logic that requires a middleware? What kind of security constraints are in place? Based on all the above design criteria, a system infrastructure diagram and a network diagrams are prepared. Middleware workflow specification and queue architecture are designed. Interface specification is finalized and data model mapping is completed. Interface design is completed. Now that we have discussed integration framework, interface specification, interface design criteria, we will now see how we can use this framework to design a custom integration with Sharepoint to share documents. Let us first start with the specification. In this example, let us consider a lightweight requirement to share document and metadata from Windchill to Sharepoint upon its release in Windchill. We assume that it is unidirectional and transactions are executed in real-time mode. Once the specification is in place, we analyze the design choices and identify a best solution. As you might know, PTC provides one solution for Sharepoint integration, that is Windchill Web Parts. Windchill Web Parts is a portlet developed on top of Sharepoint, and it interacts directly with Windchill. This is a heavyweight application offering a lot of functionalities. Since Windchill Web Parts changes the way Sharepoint behaves, it may actually overqualify for a simple requirement in question. So this requirement needs design of a custom integration with Sharepoint. In order to design a custom integration, we need to analyze interface points offered by Sharepoint out of the box. Sharepoint provides several web services. Highlighted ones are important. Web service authentication service allows the client program to authenticate itself. Web service copy allows the client program to upload files. Web service list allows the client program to list the contents of the folder. Web service version allows client program to set versions for documents. Sharepoint web services that meet the requirement, so we can use Sharepoint web services to integrate the systems. We can then check if we require a middleware. Since the requirement is lightweight and as there is no complex processing logic, we may not need a middleware. Integration has to run in a real-time mode, and it should be unidirectional, and it should offer a closed-loop transaction. Security is provided by username and the password authentication. Once we have made design choices and once we have decided on a potential solution, we need to come up with the infrastructure diagram and network diagram, including firewalls, user access points, etc. Then we map the data model between Windchill and SharePoint. As we are sharing only the documents between Windchill and SharePoint, WT document attributes can be directly mapped with the document center attributes. We also design a transformation logic required to transfer or transform input into the specific output. Next step in the process is to design the triggering point in the source system. Here in this case, promotion request workflow is updated to trigger the integration upon document release. Exception handling logic is also implemented here. Triggering integration through workflow is one of the possible approaches. We can also design listeners which work in the background to trigger integration upon certain events. Once the design is finalized, development is completed and the solution is deployed. Here you can see the document being sent from Windchill to SharePoint upon its release in Windchill. Now that we have understood how to integrate Windchill with SharePoint, let us go through some case studies. In one implementation, the customer wanted to share a specification document with web portal. In another case, the customer first wanted to translate the document and then share the document with the customer portal. In both the cases, the requirement was implemented through custom SharePoint integration. The integration improved the efficiency of document sharing between the systems. It also resulted into a reduced cycle time for document changes. Turning over to Kathy for questions.
Thank you, Roshan. That was a lot of very good information. I learned a few things, which I will tell you about later. We will now begin the Q&A session for questions posted in the chat room. As we transition to the Q&A, there should be another poll on your screen, and we appreciate your response to that as well. We'll give you a few more moments to answer as we read the first question. Beginning with the questions now. Number 1. Is it possible to have bidirectional interface between SharePoint and Windchill?
Yes, it is possible to have a bidirectional interface between Windchill and SharePoint. Ultimately, the question is to identify what is the triggering point. If in case you want to pull the information directly from SharePoint, you can design those triggering points in Windchill and use the web services to pull the information from SharePoint. And also, as discussed in this presentation, you can always publish information to the SharePoint. On the other side, you can also update the SharePoint workflows to pull the information as well as push the information to Windchill. So you can design the bidirectional interface.
Okay, that concludes our Q&A session. Thank you for your questions and participation. Please feel free to contact us at any time here at Product Space. We would love to hear from you. If you have a topic you would like covered in our Quickbytes, you can submit it via the link on your invite page. And as always, you can view all our Quickbytes on our webpage at quickbytes.windchill360.com. And you can register for our next topic, which will be using share teams to optimize Windchill performance as well. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.